Orphans who didn't get adopted. What happened and how is life now? I went into foster care when I was 13 and eventually aged out. I was in about 12 homes between the ages of 13 to 16. It's not easy to place a teenage girl. I'm white, and 10 out of my 12 families were black. My state, I'm not sure if this is something that is done everywhere, had an annual Foster Child of the Year award. You get nominated by social workers and foster parents. When I was 16, I was nominated and won. Got to go to a big banquet, met Stedman Graham, was given $1,000. Anyways, after I won that, I was placed with a very nice family who I stayed with until I was 18. Always thought they would adopt me, but they never did. I'm 28 now, and I don't talk to any of them anymore. Now I own my own business. I'm getting married in 2 weeks. I made my own family out of friends who I celebrate holidays with. Sometimes I feel left out when people are talking about their childhood and the things they did growing up. I've had rough patches. I get lonely. It'd be easy to get bitter, but I know how much life can truly suck, and I'm grateful for every day it doesn't.
That's an intense journey. Growing up in foster care must have been tough, especially moving around so much. Winning that award seems like a big deal, though. It's cool that you found a nice family after that, even if they didn't adopt you. It's great that you've built your own family and started a business. Life can be hard, but it sounds like you've learned to appreciate the good moments.
So I was never adopted. Grew up in 4 different gov homes, and then was going to be kicked when I turned 18. I was in school, and the military was always showing up doing those recruiting booths. I joined the Air Force, and have been in 19 years now. Found my own family, and really proved the phrase, blood doesn't make family. I have been to 7 continents and over 2 dozen countries. I have to tell you, retirement is scarier than those days as a kid.
That's a solid journey. Growing up in government homes and making it to the Air Force is impressive. You found a family in your own way, which is what matters. It's interesting how experiences shape us. Travel definitely opens up new perspectives. Retirement can be uncertain, but it sounds like you've built a strong foundation. It's cool to see how far you've come from those early days.
I'm not a foster child, but my friend was, and in middle school I'll never forget. People were picking on her, and she said to me, "It's okay that they make fun, etc., because my parents picked me out of all the other kids. They could have chosen another child, but they picked me, and I'm here at this school." We were at a private school that I took for granted looking back. That just kind of always stuck with me. There's something special I think about being adopted for long term.
That's a powerful perspective from your friend. It really shows how resilience can shape someone's outlook. Even in challenging situations, she found value in being chosen. It makes you think about the impact of family, whether biological or through adoption, and how that can give someone strength. It's a reminder that everyone's story matters, and sometimes, the love you get is what really counts.
I was in foster care with relatives after my mother died, but was never in the system per se. They kicked me out at 18, but I was eligible for a lot of benefits due to being a ward of the state in my teen years. My aunt and uncle never officially adopted me. I struggled through college, but I did end up graduating and have a solid job, a home, and am getting married in less than 3 months. Edit. Thank you for the gold. You made this girl tear up. Thank you so much, love. It is really nice to know that I can inspire people.
That's a tough path you had. Growing up in that situation can really shape you. It's good to see you push through college and built a solid life for yourself. Getting married soon adds a nice touch to your journey. I think it's inspiring for others to see that even with challenges, it's possible to find your way. Congrats on everything you've accomplished.
I was taken in by relatives, but never legally adopted. They raised me fine, and the only real issue is that I didn't have insurance between the ages of 18, when I was dropped from their plan for being an adult, and 24, when I had to purchase insurance for the ACA. If I was legally theirs, I could stay on their plan for another 2 years.
It's interesting how that works. Being raised by relatives feels like family, but the legal stuff can really affect you later. It's kind of wild that a couple of years of insurance could change so much. Makes you think about how rules can impact people's lives. The system has its quirks, for sure. Glad you found a way to navigate it in the end.
I am surviving. Not technically an orphan, but grew up in foster care. I have no family, but my baby sister who is now an adult and is surviving as well. I've always been like her mom, so we do holidays and things together with the SOs we have at the time. Life is hard, especially when you have no one to turn to for help. Friends make it better, but I don't have any super close ones except one. My mom is still around, but not really as a mom in the sense of wanting to take care of us. Things could be worse. And as I type this, I look around at all of my fur babies and see all the things I own, and I feel grateful for what I have. If I know anything, it's that my life won't always be this way, and things always get better.
It's tough not having a traditional family and growing up in foster care. You've got your sister, though, which is something special. Doing holidays together must help a lot. Friends matter too, even if you only have one close friend. It's cool you focus on gratitude for your pets and what you have. It's true that life can improve over time. Keeping that positive outlook is definitely important.
My mom was in 42 different foster homes, orphanages, etc. Mom never got adopted for 2 reasons. They would not split her and her psychotic violent brother up, and my sociopath of a grandmother would prevent anyone from adopting Mom. If Mom was getting emotionally attached to a foster mother, psycho grandma would find out and have Mom pulled out of the home. Mom would tell grandma about nice foster mother during planned visits. Even though Mom and Uncle had 2 parents, they were still in orphanages and foster homes since their narcissistic mother and playboy father couldn't be bothered with taking care of their own kids. Mom turned out okay. Finally found stability in my dad, who loved and cared for her until the day he died. Now I take care of her. She's had such a tough life, and her strength shows. She came out of that traumatic childhood sane and able to raise a family.
That's a heavy story. Your mom dealt with a lot growing up. It's tough when family dynamics make things harder instead of easier. It's good that she found some stability later on, though. Sounds like you're doing your part to support her now. It says a lot about her strength as a person. It must have shaped the way you view family and relationships, too.
I adopted 2 from Ukraine, 12 and 14 at the time. Went back when they were older, and some of the kids they were in class with 7 years earlier were street kids. 95+ degrees with long shirts to hide the track marks while begging, living on or below the streets. My 2 understand what they left, and they no longer see Ukraine through rose-colored lenses. They miss Ukraine, and we encourage them to go back on vacation, but they understand they are not going to be able to save their friends from orphanage number 4 in Odessa.
That's a heavy situation. It's tough to see how different life can be for those kids. Your friends probably feel a lot of pressure knowing their old friends are struggling. It sounds like they have a clearer view of things now, which can be hard to cope with. Going back can be a mix of nostalgia and reality check. It's nice you're supportive of their choice to visit, but I get why it's a complicated feeling.
I was adopted from orphanage in Haiti. Some of my friends that didn't get adopted have been sponsored by a wealthy family in Canada. They said by 14, 16, they are pushed out of the orphanage compound and into the real world. Some continued with education, but most try to find their way in a country with little to no opportunity. Some have moved to Dominican Republic for more opportunity. The ones that have been sponsored us spend the first 5 years learning the language and getting a job.
It's interesting to hear about your experience. Adoption can change lives, but it's tough to think about those who weren't as fortunate. I know some people who face similar challenges after leaving orphanages. It's not easy navigating adulthood in a new country, especially with limited opportunities. The transition can be rough, and it's good to see that some are finding their way, even if it's not the easiest path.
Okay, so my parents both relented their rights, so I was a ward of the state. But I was kicked out of foster care at 20 because I got my own place, and they saw that as being defiant. So I'm currently going to school for meteorology, I have a full-time job, I have my own car. I do suffer from depression, but I have ambitions, and I refuse to be like my parents. I think I'm going great. As far as never being adopted, well, that was my fault. I was a very badly behaved foster kid, and I fucked up every chance I had for a family. I regret it now, but I don't let it hold me back.
It's good to hear you're pushing through despite the challenges. Getting kicked out of foster care at 20 must have been tough, but it sounds like you've found your path with school and work. Everyone has their past, and it's cool that you're focused on your ambitions. Regrets can weigh heavy, but it seems like you're using them as motivation, which is important. Keep going and look ahead. You're doing well.
Finally, something I know a little about. I grew up in state care from about age 9 to 17. I lost my father when I was about 6 years old to suicide, and I don't remember him much. My mom sort of went downhill from there, drugs, bad boyfriend, the whole 9 yards. I went into state care and started my extended stay with the state. I bounced between about 12 different homes before getting myself stuck in a dreaded group home for at-risk youth. I quickly about pulled my shit together and applied to a private foster care program called Casey Family Programs. I finally got a shot at a little normalcy before aging out of the system. I now work as a software engineer and am doing pretty well, all things considered. Have a great relationship with my foster/adopted family, and even some halfway decent relationship with my birth mother. Today I'm doing good. Unfortunately, the little foster kid in the back of my head is always ready for things to fall apart.
It's interesting how life can change, isn't it? Growing up in state care sounds tough, but you managed to hold it together and find your way. Getting into that foster program must have been a big deal. Now you're a software engineer and have a solid connection with your adopted family. It's cool that you're doing good, but I get that lingering worry from your past. It's a part of you that probably never fully goes away.
Orphaned at age 14 here. Growing up was drastically different than everyone else I've noticed. I wouldn't say it was all bad, but the majority of it was shitty. I didn't realize at the time. I'm 22 now, and I have a really hard time making any actual connection with people, honestly. I find a lot of the time I have a difficult time feeling sympathy or empathy. Don't get me wrong, I do feel them, just not too often. For the longest time, I resented people who had a whole family, and especially the ones who hate their mom/dad, but I've grown out of that now. I'd say I'm a mostly functional human being. I've done some fucked up things to some people. I am what I am, and I'm always working on being a better person. Losing your parents sucks ass, but I think comparatively I've had it easy. I'm not putting all the details in here because I'm busy, but if you have any questions, I'll answer them.
It's tough to lose your parents at a young age. It shapes your whole view on relationships and emotions. I've seen friends struggle with similar backgrounds, feeling disconnected from others. They sometimes envy those who have family drama, thinking any family is better than none. It's good you're working on yourself, though. Facing those feelings head-on is important. Life's about growing, even when it's hard to connect. Keep it up.
I like to say that anyone in this thread who fits this, or even if not, and you just have no one, lives in South Carolina, me and my wife would live to invite you to holidays. Or hell, even just a barbecue. I grew up without my dad, and my mom hated me because I was her first, and after me her life went downhill. I know what it's like doing everything for yourself, and not having a family to sit down and eat and talk with. Everyone deserves that.
It's cool to see someone reach out like that. Growing up without a strong family connection can be tough. I remember a friend who often talked about similar experiences. He felt alone during holidays too. Then he started hosting meals for friends, creating his own family vibe. Lots of people appreciated that. It's nice to share good moments with others, reminding everyone they're not alone.
Throw away for a lot of reasons. I was left at the hospital by my biological mother immediately after being born. She hadn't lined up an adoptive family or even contacted an adoption agency. This was in the late 80s when the HIV/AIDS panic was high. While I was eventually adopted, there were a lot of babies in my situation who were not, because adoptive parents were fearful of adopting an infant if the mother's HIV status wasn't known.
That's a heavy background. It's tough to think about how many kids were affected by the fear around HIV back then. You got adopted, which is a good outcome, but it's sad to know that so many others weren't as lucky. It shows how societal issues can impact personal lives in ways we often overlook. Everyone deserves a family, no matter the circumstances.
I was a foster parent to 2 kids from the time they were early teens till they moved out, my son 18 and daughter 19. I was also a residential treatment counselor at a boys' group home for violent and sexual offenders age 11 to 18. I moved on from there and became a therapeutic foster care skills trainer. A lot of kids don't get adopted or fostered out. They usually get bounced around to different facilities until they age out. At that point, they usually have a caseworker that can help them get on their feet, but a large majority of the ones I know usually end up getting into trouble and become dependent on the system that raised them. Many do move on to be contributing members of society, but not the majority. As far as the foster system goes, it is hard work, but very rewarding. Children need love, and with it they are more likely to succeed. You do get compensation, but if you're doing it for the money, you will burn out quick, especially with therapeutic foster kids. That's my experience in the subject. Edit, autocorrect.
That sounds like quite a journey. Being a foster parent and working with challenging kids takes a lot of strength and patience. It's good to hear that some kids can thrive with the right support. It's definitely not easy, and doing it for the right reasons seems crucial. Helping kids who need love and stability can have a big impact on their future. Your experience sheds light on the complexities of the system.
I was raised in foster care from age 7 till I aged out. I lived at a few homes, but never found my forever home, so to speak. Something unlovable about me, I still call my last foster family, but legally we aren't anything. I really struggled in my 20s with drug and booze. Wasted a lot of years trying to self-medicate. I did get a BA degree in history somehow. Quit drinking, won't even touch more than an aspirin. I have a real job, a retirement account, and own my own home. I have 2 children I adore and make sure they have none of the issues I had. I still have a lot of issues and get depressed because I know if I had the least bit of a normal life, I could be so much than what I am now.
It's tough to grow up in foster care and not find a real home. The struggle with addiction is a heavy weight, but it sounds like you've come a long way. Getting a degree and turning your life around is no small feat. It's great to hear you have a stable job and a home now. Plus, being a good parent and wanting better for your kids shows you're breaking the cycle. Everyone has their battles.
A friend of mine was removed from his home as a kid. His dad was in white-collar jail, and his stepmother beat him. A neighbor called the cops when they found my friend half-naked under a mailbox, trying to keep the snow off himself in winter. Dad refused to give up rights. Mother, who took off years ago, refused. So he was stuck in a group home until he was 18. He said it sucked, but was better than being beaten or not fed. At 18, they gave him the boot onto the streets. He got a job, an apartment, and lost it shortly after the landlord kicked him out for having a friend over. He lived with us a year after that. My family wanted him to have a safe place to grow up a bit more in breath before hitting the real world. He struggled for a few years, but he got his college degree, got married, had a kid, and is doing well now. He always was bitter that his parents wouldn't give up their rights. He could have had a proper home instead of belonging to two people who forgot about him and don't even see him.
That's a tough story. Your friend faced some rough times, but it sounds like he found his way eventually. Having a family support him when he needed it most probably made a huge difference. It's a shame his parents didn't step up, but it seems he used those experiences to push himself forward. It's good to hear he's doing well now, building a life for himself and his family. Life can be weird like that.
I'm probably too late. I'm an orphan and went to live in a foster home. Over the years, around 200 other kids came and went. It affects you not having a real family. I am still in contact with my twin sister who had the same date of birth as me, and my little brother that is 13 years my junior, but I took him under my wing because his parents died in a crash as well. I'm not going to say life was easy. It wasn't. There were some mental health issues. I spent some time in a mental hospital, but came out, got into university, got my degree, went to work in the private sector done. Well, no one seemed to care about my mental health past. No one asked about my parents or life growing up. I now work in university after the crash of 2009. I am married with 2 kids, which I love more than life. I will do everything I can to show them how much I love them and protect them from the bad in this world. All in all, it was a great start of my life, but you learn from everything, and more importantly, you can grow.
That's a pretty intense journey. Growing up without a stable family is tough. It's good to hear that you managed to find your path, finishing your degree and starting a family. It sounds like you're really focused on breaking the cycle for your kids and giving them the love you didn't fully have. Life does throw challenges at you, but it seems like you've turned yours into something meaningful.
My girlfriend was kicked out of her home at 14. Her parents were addicts with anger problems. My parents let her move in with us. It's been 7 years, and we have our own place together now. It was so nice of my parents to do that. I don't know what shape she would be in had they not been so loving as to welcome her into our home.
That's a solid story. It's cool how your family stepped up for her when she needed it the most. Not everyone would do that. It's good to see how things turned out well for both of you after all those years. Having that support can really change a person's life. It's nice to have someone like that by your side, especially after going through tough times.
Not me, but my dad. He was fortunately a great athlete, got a baseball scholarship to college, then dropped out to join the Marines and fight in Vietnam. Came back, became a police officer, drank a lot, got married 3 times, had me, and finally died at 51 from drinking himself to death. I'm incredibly proud of how hard he fought to achieve upward mobility in society. We were never rich, but we never wanted for anything either. Still though, growing up in an orphanage for kids really fucked him up, and it's why he drank. If someone had just bothered to love my dad as a kid, he might still be alive today.
That's a heavy story. Your dad seemed to have a lot of ups and downs. Achieving that scholarship showed his potential, but it's sad how his past affected him. It sounds like his experiences shaped his life choices. It's tough to think about how a little love could have made a difference. Life can be complicated like that, where past struggles stick around. Thanks for sharing this.
My mom was an addict and abusive, and my dad dies when I was a teenager, so I was placed in foster care and then group homes. After high school, I was failing community college, so I joined the Air Force. I was lucky to get a firefighting position. Spent 6 awesome years traveling the world and firefighting fires in different countries. I now have the family I never had growing up scattered all over the world. I was honorably discharged and came home to the Bay Area. I now work as a firefighter in the East Bay and teach at a fire academy. I volunteer at a vocational center that I went through in high school that teaches fire science. Sometimes I wonder what it would have been like to live in the perfect family with the perfect house with a white picket fence, but now I realize that I would not change a thing. Never give up on your dreams. Work harder than everyone else and good things will happen.
That's a tough background, but it's solid how you turn things around. Joining the Air Force and becoming a firefighter must have been a game changer. Sounds like you really found a purpose and built a life for yourself. It's great that you also give back by teaching and volunteering. It's cool that you recognize where you came from, but still appreciate your journey. Kind of inspiring, really.
As somebody who has been through the system, orphaned, fostering, adoption, I can say that people really should consider fostering and adoption. You can make a real, positive difference. There are lots of kids who just need a chance to live in a stable household to have a normal life. I'm very grateful for my circumstances, and it made a big difference to my life.
It's great to hear how positive your experience was. Fostering and adoption can really change lives. It sounds like you found a good support system that helped you grow. It's important for kids to feel safe and loved. Your story might encourage others to consider helping in similar ways. Giving someone a stable home is definitely worth it. Glad to know it made such a big difference for you.
I was bounced around a bit and then eventually slipped through the cracks. Been on my own since I was 13. I finished high school early, CLEP through the last of my degree, moved to the other side of the world and got a good job. I've also never consumed alcohol or abused drugs. How's life? It's hard. I don't have any family to talk to. No holiday get-togethers. I don't have any friend from childhood because I bounced around so much. I live in a country where I don't speak the language. I've tried going to meetups and such, but I can't seem to form stable friendships. I do strike up conversations and exchange contact info, but for the past 2 years I've been ghosted every time. Now I spend most of my time in bed, feeling pretty shitty. My phone stays silent for weeks at a time. Hopefully things turn around eventually. Smiley face.
It's a tough situation. Being on your own like that from such a young age is challenging. Finishing school and moving away shows a lot of determination. It sucks that you don't have family or friends to lean on, and trying to make connections in a new place can be frustrating. It's normal to feel low about it all. Hopefully, you'll find a way to connect with people who understand what you're going through.
My dad was an orphan and does have some issues with interpersonal communication and familial connection as a result. As his grown daughter, I just wanted to say don't let your worries hold you back. I know that these traits were due to circumstances outside of my father's control, and I don't hold them against him. Most importantly, I never doubted how much my dad loved me, so it was easy to love him back the same. That's all that matters, really. No matter what he does, I will always think my dad is amazing, and I'm sure if you have a kid, they will think you are too. I already think you're amazing, to be honest. Smiley face.
It's cool to see how love can bridge gaps. Family connections can be complicated, but understanding really makes a difference. Your dad's past shaped him, but it sounds like you two found a way to connect. It's nice when you can see past the flaws and appreciate the bond. That kind of perspective can really help anyone struggling with similar issues. That's what being a parent is about, right? Just showing up and loving unconditionally.
Wow, I'm so sorry you went through that. It's awesome that you have a good enough relationship with your sister that she will open up and tell you how she feels or felt at the time. I hope you can emotionally support her and let her know that nobody blames her for anything. If you could get your parents to realize how she felt and get them to dismiss her worries, I'm sure it would mean a lot to her. How are you doing these days? Is there anything about the situation that you've never really discussed with anyone and would like to talk about?
Thanks for sharing that. Family can be tough, and it's good you're there for your sister. Sometimes just listening can help a lot. It's also important to take care of yourself during these times. Talking things out can really clear your head. If you ever feel like sharing more, I'm here to listen. It can be helpful to lay everything on the table.
I'm going to agree with this 100%. My grandpa had a stroke and was in one for around 6 months before getting his own place with a caretaker, My siblings, all four of us, would go to visit often. My younger sisters would tend to wander and talk to all of the old people. My grandpa said one of the ladies they wrote a birthday letter/picture for, upon finding out it was her birthday, has had nobody visit her family/friend wise ever, despite being a really nice/kind sweet old lady that has kids. She was so happy she bought them a present and gave it to them next time she came.
It's always eye-opening to see how small gestures can mean a lot. Your sisters are doing something really nice by connecting with the residents. That lady's reaction speaks volumes about the impact of companionship. It's sad to think some people go unnoticed, even when they have family. It's clear that a little kindness goes a long way. Your grandpa must appreciate having such caring grandkids around.
It's not bad. I was in for 4 years and got a job that was very similar to what I did previously, but it just paid better. There were a few retirees at 40, and they were getting bank, collecting retirement, and a better paycheck than before. You can still do another 20 years at the new joint and $. PM for exit plan and resume help.
Sounds like you had a decent run. 4 years isn't too long, but it's good that you found something that pays better. Those early retirees must have it made, getting that nice paycheck and retirement benefits at 40. It's always interesting to see how some manage to cash in on life early. If you're looking for that exit plan, there's definitely ways to strategize for better opportunities.
Not trying to be creepy. It's probably 500% creepy, but I saw in your post history that you were having a hard time and living out of your car. It was 5 months ago, but I just wanted to see how you're doing now, if that's still the case. I'm in the PNW also, and just want to make sure you've got a good place to sleep tonight.
It's thoughtful of someone to reach out like that. It's nice to see people looking out for each other, especially in tough situations. Living in a car isn't easy, and it can be tough to find a safe place. Hopefully, they found some support or solutions since then. It really shows how important community can be when someone is struggling.
I'm so sorry, internet friend. Sad face. I was not in foster care, but have had issues feeling like no one would ever love me due to other home problems. Therapy has helped me a lot with that. Also, even if no one else has said it, I am damn proud of you for all you are accomplishing. That's amazing. I know people who had amazing lives and are doing absolutely nothing with them now. I truly hope you the best in the future and that you can learn to love yourself because you deserve it. Please know I'm thinking about you and hoping things get better. Hugs and kiss, my friend. Much love.
It's tough to feel unloved sometimes. I get that. Therapy can be a game changer though. It helps you work through those feelings. It's great to see you encouraging your friend. That support matters. Just knowing someone cares can make a difference. Life can be a struggle, but there's always hope. Taking small steps towards self-love is important. Keep pushing forward, my friend. You're not alone in this.
Please consider subscribing if you enjoyed. Love.